Hey everyone, this is Stephanie again. This is my second video blog. The overall topic of this blog is shit about music journalism that you should know whether you know it or not. But I guess some band promotion that I want to do before I get on that whole spiel is this band, Orbweaver. Really good band from Miami, Florida. They're psychedelic metal. Their drummer Scott I've known since I was like 5 years old. So they're kind of like a family band in a way, but yeah, I figured I'd just promote them since I'm wearing their shirt. They're really good. So yeah, check them out because I highly suggest that you do. Anyway, so now the overall spiel about music journalism. I guess I'll just go into my own brief history as a music journalist, starting to how I wanted to be a music journalist. I've always been a writer ever since I was really young. I was an avid reader, and I just naturally started writing. Not very long after that, I really got into music, and I really got into metal, and there were two main factors that really got me into wanting to be a music journalist. The first one was I was like maybe 13, 14, like young, but I was at a show and my friend and I were trying to get backstage because, you know, we're little 14-year-old sluts, and that's what 14-year-old sluts do at shows. But anyway, so we were like hanging out by the little backstage gate, trying to get back there, and this girl walks out with a laminate and all that stuff, and I asked her where she got, or how she got her laminate, and she said that she's a music journalist, and she gets paid to hang out with the bands and interview them, and to write something about it afterwards. And I'm like, I can do that? Like, really? That's a job? That's fucking cool, you know? And then I got into reading magazines and watching interviews and everything, and I noticed that, especially bands that I really liked, I would buy a magazine and read the interview and get pissed off because everything the journalist asked them, I already knew. So, my ultimate goal as a journalist was to really ask bands questions, or really to find shit out that nobody knows about, nobody would think to ask, just to really think outside the box. And so that's just kind of been my goal, and that is still the goal that I follow to this day. And how I got to where I am today, I started my blog, sjmetalblog.tumblr.com, about a little over a year ago, just writing album reviews on my spare time, promoting local bands, and then I ended up developing a following, and really got into just mainly covering local bands. And then my first, I guess, professional published writing gig was a small label, an independent label called Prophecy Records, who are based in Colorado and Texas. Yeah, Colorado and Texas. That was like about, not too long after I started my blog, like maybe a month or two after. And then wrote for them for a little bit, for the bands on their roster. And then this company, Metal Wanny, they are a zine based out of India, covering a lot of the Indian metal scene, but also doing album reviews, interviews of national bands. And so I reviewed a lot of really big albums for them, like Nile, Between the Buried and Me, all that stuff. Then I left them eventually, and just because school was really getting in the way at that time. But then I started working for a local magazine here, Tip-Based Mayhem magazine. That was probably my biggest, I guess, like my first biggest taste into the music journalism industry thing, because like for example with Metal Wanny, I really just did album reviews mainly, but for Tip-Based Mayhem magazine, that was the first time I covered really big bands. Like a few months after I started writing for them, I interviewed Obituary, Decrepit Birth, Morbid Angel, Veil of Maya, like huge bands that I did not think I would interview right away. And was a pretty mind-blowing experience. After about a year with the magazine, I left because it wasn't what I wanted. I thought I wanted to be a part of a print media, but since the print media is starting to be replaced with online media, I figured that it would be important for me to expand into the online media, and that's how I got to working with the Age of Metal. And I've been with the Age of Metal since, I want to say May of this year, so a few months now, and even the Age of Metal, like the first month I started working with them, I interviewed Gohor, and since then I interviewed, who the fuck have I interviewed in the past with the Age of Metal? Okay, let me think. I've interviewed Flesh God, Havoc, War, Revocation, Aeon, The Faceless. Oh my goodness, Vital Remains. Fuck, I interviewed so many people. Dying Fetus Exhumed just recently. Like, and I'm covering NAMM this year for the Age of Metal, and that is, I did not think I'd get to NAMM this soon. So, as long as you have the right connections, you can get very far in this industry. Like I said, I haven't even been in this for 2 years. It's been about a year and a half, and I'm already confirmed to cover NAMM, and I've covered, as you can tell, like really big bands I've mentioned before, so I guess that is my ultimate advice as a journalist, is to just to not be discouraged. I mean, that kind of sounds like really shitty advice, but I mean, I'll just explain it a little bit more. Pretty much, out of all of the different elements of the music industry, the press is the one looked down on the most, as it is with a lot of other industries, especially the music industry. And the reason why is because most journalists don't know what they're doing, or they just don't give a shit. They just want to be Mr. Cool Guy, is what I call them, you know, like, oh, I get free music, I go to shows for free, da-da-da-da-da, like, it's all just an ego boost for them. And I mean, the ego is a big part of it, because you want to make yourself look awesome, but at the same time, you need to be professional, you need to give people a reason to give a shit, and be on your, I don't even want to say ego. I just want to, like, the way that you perceive yourself and the way that you hold yourself, but it can't be a whole bunch of fluff. You need shit to back up with it. And that is the main goal. I mean, for any industry, that's kind of what you need. But for this kind of industry that people pretty much just don't, I don't want to say people don't care about, but that has such a, like, has somewhat of a bad rep, then you definitely need to hold yourself a little bit better. Like, I just interviewed an artist recently, and he told me after the interview, because, I mean, he was kind of being silly in the interview. I don't mind it when artists are silly. I personally love it, but because it's just so much easier to interact with them, but it was a little unprofessional. And after the interview, he apologized for his behavior, and he said, you know, I usually don't take journalists and interviews seriously. And that was a pretty nice compliment, because it just shows, and he's a big artist too, I'm not going to mention his name, but if you want to go back into my interviews for the past month, you could probably figure out who it is, but I mean, it was a really nice compliment, you know, that an artist that I've looked up to for years, you know, just pretty much said, hey, you don't suck, keep doing this, and it's a really nice compliment. And then what else? I guess I'm just gonna, for the rest of this, I'm going to make this more about the bands and aspiring journalists. I kind of already got into how aspiring journalists should act, but I guess to continue on with that, for aspiring journalists, know that this doesn't pay shit. Even, I mean, if you're a journalist in the metal industry, the bands don't get paid shit, so you're not going to get paid shit. But even a successful journalist in really any industry, unless you're with like the New Yorker or something, that you'll probably be making at most 25 grand a year if you're really good. If you look at a lot of successful journalists like Kim Kelly, she in particular writes for a whole plethora of people, because how, and I've talked to other journalists who worked for, like, really big name companies, and you pretty much get paid for everything that you write, and it's like, 500 grand for, I mean, if you write for a really big company, and, I mean, yeah, that's a lot, but, I mean, that's how all writing is, really. It's just you get paid whatever amount for whatever you write, and I mean, I know all of them is different. I know some probably offer a monthly salary, like the company I write for. I get paid monthly for, no matter how little I write. Other companies, they pay you by how much content you write, and you need to submit a certain amount of content each month. That's just kind of like, they judge it by monthly. That's kind of a normal basis. But another thing, oh shit. You know the feeling when you have to sneeze? I just had that like a second ago. I had to sneeze, and then it went away. Fucking hate that. Anyway. No, but, and also expect to not get paid right away. It took me a year and a half to start getting paid for this. And even not all the companies I write for paid me. So, have a backup plan, and I'm not saying that to discourage you or be like, you're not gonna make it, so get paid doing something else, because I know that's how a lot of people take it, but no, do it just to be smart. And even, like, I have another friend who owns a company who said this, working for the press can offer you more than money, and I know time is money, so I don't completely 100% agree with that, but they really do offer you a lot of benefits. Like, for example, free music, free shows, you get to hang out with your favorite bands. Like, I am very fortunate to call some of my favorite musicians I've looked to for years my friends now, because I interviewed them and we stayed in touch, and they just thought it was cool enough to talk to. Or maybe the fact that I'm a hot metal girl is why either way, I'm friends with them, and it's cool. Whether, you know, I don't know. Anyway. But, so, where am I going with this? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard work. Eventually it will pay off. I guarantee you that. And you also have to take into consideration the fact that you need to stand out from the rest, because there are, I guess, since, like I mentioned before, media switched from the print to online now, and that has advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are, it's a lot easier to get into this industry with social networking and everything. Like, I've gained a following really quick, and I definitely want to expand on that, which is why I'm talking to my fucking webcam right now. But a disadvantage is the fact that there's a lot more blogs, zines, a lot more journalists, all of that. So it is very easy to find people who will put you in the right direction, but it's also easy to find people who won't, who will try and take advantage of you. I've definitely had my fair share of them. I'm not going to say any names. Some of them I don't even put on my resume, because there was kind of no point. I just kind of realized, you know, very quick that they were sketchy, and I just, you know, left that company before even submitting any work. But, so, just know, like, just hold your guard up, and, what else? It's also easy for, like, for example, a band will maybe have, like, 3 other interviews, the show that you're scheduled to interview them at, so sometimes your interviews are like that, and sometimes they cancel. I've just recently had a really big band cancel on me. Sometimes they will have to reschedule the time, sometimes they just won't give a shit, and you can tell that they won't. So because of these inconveniences, you really need to make yourself seem professional, seem like you need to have your research done. There was one artist in particular where I was warned about him that if you ask some generic question like, what tour are you going on? And then apparently he would say, well, you should know this because you're scheduled to interview me. So it's those kind of artists that, you know, whether they have a reputation for doing that or not, you need to make sure that you have all your research, that, you know, whether this is a band that you're a very big fan of or not, you should at least know, if not everything they're doing or everything they have done, at least know the most crucial information and have all of the, like, make sure that you have information to back up your questions. Like, for example, if you ask about their new album and they already release a press release with the title of the album, and then maybe just be like, oh, why did you call your album whatever, you know? So, rather than be like, oh, what's the new album title? Then no, there's a press release with this already, but if you still want to ask about this title in particular, then just kind of have an open-ended question, like, where did you come up with this? Or, is there, like, a certain message in the title that you want to convey to your listeners or to your fans, or just, I don't know, just something like that. Trying to think if there's, I mean, I should have taken notes. I know I'm a journalist, I should, you know, be a lot better organized, but with these videos, I don't give a shit. Oh, that's another thing I want to also mention, because if you are doing video interviews, which I highly recommend you get into the media portion of journalism as well as the written portion. If you're a writer, get into the media portion. If you're a media junkie, get into the writing portion. Because having all of those extra skills will really help you. And I need to get into video editing and photography, and I've tried multiple times, and I suck at it really bad. I'm recording this shit on a webcam right now. I don't give a fuck. Because I'm just, oh my goodness. And, like, I've, you know, taken media classes and school photography classes, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't my forte. I'm a writer. You know, I'd much rather be in front of the camera, because I know how to talk to a camera, you know, and, also, another thing about video, conducting an interview while recording, it's harder than it looks, because, like, for example, I'm talking to this camera, this is how I talk normally, and people are saying, oh, well, you look awkward in your video blogs. I'm like, because I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm talking to my webcam, I don't give a shit. Like, if I was interviewing, I don't know, who the fuck, Vinnie Paul, you think I'd be like, oh, Vinnie Paul, duh, what am I gonna say? No, I'm gonna be like, hey everyone, this is Stephanie with The Age of Metal. We're here at whatever fucking festival with Vinnie Paul, so how are you doing? You know, and talk to Vinnie Paul for, you know, a while, and, you know, act like I'm awesome and that I'm very articulate, and I am articulate, but like I said, on these video blogs, I don't give a shit, because it's a lot less work to not give a shit than to give a shit. And then my interviews, I give a shit. These blogs, I don't give a shit. That's the overall difference. Yeah, because I've had some of my friends be like, oh, your blog, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, am I awkward in my interviews? No, then shut the fuck up. And then, is there anything else I want to talk about writing? Just don't suck at writing. I've talked to a lot of journalists who are like, oh, I'm not a writer. Well, then why are you a journalist? Nah. You know? It's just, you know, if writing isn't what you're good at, then take writing classes. I mean, like I said before, I was a writer when I was younger, but even then, I took years of creative writing classes in and out of school with published authors. I attended seminars, like journalism seminars of the big newspaper that's in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Times, talking to the journalists there, the editors there, and listening to their lectures, doing their writing exercises. And then I was in the high school and my college newspaper classes, and those classes I learned how to interview, how to write an article, because it's a pet peeve of mine when I read an interview and the journalist doesn't use proper article formatting. For example, if I was interviewing, who's a big fucking name in metal, I'm like looking around my posters right now to think of ideas. If I was interviewing Fallujah, I did interview Fallujah, but it was Alex Hoffman I spoke with. So if I interviewed Fallujah again, if I interviewed Alex again, and I was introducing Alex, whether it was his first quote, whether it was for whatever fucking reason in the introductory paragraph, I was introducing him, and it would say his first and last name, vocalist Alex Hoffman. And then when I would, what's that term? If I were to use his first quote, it would be like blah blah blah, said Hoffman. And some people say, said Alex. You don't do that! It's because it's unprofessional, it looks casual, and that's not a good thing. You have to, my cat's looking at me like I'm fucking crazy right now. Anyway, but yeah, so that's a big pet peeve of mine. And also, I'm a grammar Nazi, and I see grammar errors a lot. And you can't spell check when it comes to professional writing. You actually have to read everything so there are no errors. Because I know it sounds like a pain in the ass, but that's what a writer is. And if you're not willing to revise your work, because writing is rewriting. Once again, going back to the writing classes I took, that is the golden rule of writing is motherfucking writing. Remember that. Yeah, that's writing classes help with Stephanie, right? That'd be a great teacher. Okay, so I'm like 20 minutes into this video talking a whole bunch of shit. So I'm just going to go into the music journalism industry from a band's perspective. If you're putting together a press kit to submit to labels and you want a journalist to interview you, this is what you do not do. You do not add a journalist on Facebook, message him or her and be like, hey, can you review my band? Or you message a big media company and be like, hey, can you review my band? We won't care. If you're my friend, I will do that because you're my friend. Or if you're a band that I truly see potential in, I will give a shit and I will review you, interview you, whatever you want. But if you're just some random Facebook stalker who adds me, first and foremost, I probably won't even add you, which is why I put my fan page on Facebook, or, goddammit, why I put my fan page on my YouTube social media shit. I don't put my personal Facebook because that's for my friends and my family. I mean, yeah, I promote bands and everything on that too, but that's mainly for my friends and my family. So that's why I have my fan page. Even though it's probably easier to find it's easier to find my personal Facebook, which I don't know why. I have a lot of privacy settings, but maybe they're not working, I don't know, or maybe I just don't know how to use Facebook. Anyway, so either way, the best thing to do is try and put together a press kit for the press. Yeah, I know it's really complex, but how I will care about your band is if I see professional recordings, professional promos, bands, like big bands you played with, any tours you've been on, because that makes me know that you're in it for the business aspect. Because if you don't message a label and be like, hey, can you sign my band? No, if a label is going to put money into a band, they're going to only put money into a band that they see potential in. Yeah, it might not be that extreme for the press, but it's still time. And I mean, I am a full-time student, and I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the national bands I sign. And don't take that the wrong way, because I am 100% fully support of the local music scene of unsigned bands, smaller bands, all of that. That's why I'm a journalist. And I actually wish I had more time to be able to promote local bands, and to attend local shows, but so it kind of sucks, but gotta do what I gotta do. But anyway, there are several other bands that I see and that I promote, and if you just send me a Facebook link, because how many bands do I get who do that to other media companies who do that? It's overall just standing out, just making sure that you're professional, because like I always take Abiotic as an example. Abiotic are some of my really good friends. I've known them even before they were signed to Metal Blade, because that band played in Tampa like every month. So, because they're from Miami, so they would just kind of drive around and play in Tampa and stay with me and party with me, and yeah, they're like my BFFs. I love Abiotic so much! Anyway, but I know that the steps that they took in order to get to where they are today, they're one of the leading bands in technical death metal right now. And I know that John, their guitarist, he is a very business-minded person. Abiotic were touring, were spending a lot of time and money promoting themselves. They played with, open for big bands. Like I said, they traveled to Tampa, which is 4 hours from Miami, where they're from, every month, every other month at least, so they can gain a fan base. And guess what? They gained a huge fan base here in Tampa and Fort Lauderdale and Orlando. Eventually, they started touring the East Coast. Metal Blade listened to them, and they're like, wow, this band's worth the hype. And look at them right now. They're currently supporting Dying Fetus, Exhumed, Waking the Cadaver on a tour, and they just toured with, who the fuck did they just tour with before? Wretched, Allegion. Before that, The Faceless, Rings of Saturn, Within the Ruins. Who were they on before that? I don't remember what they did before that. But anyway, and they have a full-length album. They're working on a new album. You know, they're doing big things. So that's what you have to do. You have to really take this seriously. And it sucks that there is so much time and money put into this industry and not much, to take out of it. It's very few that I know bands who can live off of this industry, but I mean, some are luckier than others, but it's overall, you have to work. You have to really put yourself out there. You have to make a lot of sacrifices. And I guess that's kind of the overall point of this post, or of this blog, this video, blog, vlog. I don't know, vlog. I don't know how the hell you say that vlog word. Whatever. Sorry, I'm going off on all these different tangents. But anyway. Having media exposure is very beneficial to your bands, but you have to, if you're approaching somebody that you don't know, a major blog, a major zine, then you have to really make yourself look professional. And just make sure that you stand out, because these blogs, these zines get numerous emails, notifications every day. I'm on Introduce Yourself, All Things Metal, and even my own personal account. It's constant. And I mean, if I didn't want that attention, I wouldn't have been a music journalist anyway. But so I'm not doing this post complaining. I'm doing this post to give you all food for thought. Messaging me on my personal Facebook and sending me a Facebook link is not going to direct me to your page. And even if you do all of that, or even if you do send a press kit, and I don't think, if you do send a press kit, then that will definitely you will definitely be considered. Obviously, it won't be a guarantee, just like the same thing with, you know, if you have all of that and send it to a label, then it's not a guarantee you'll be signed. But it's still a good way to make yourself stand out. But overall, I look for a band with just a really unique sound, or just, like, I am going to give this band Abdomen Canvas as a perfect example. They are a band from Orlando. I've always said that I wish the old school would come back. Even though it shouldn't come back, I kind of wish that it did, or find a way to tie it in with a new current metal. But so many bands have tried this and just did not succeed, but Abdomen Canvas is the first band that really did. And I remember they played at the Land Festival over in DeLand, Florida, and I was just blown away. They are a perfect combination of Exhumed and Thy Art Is Murder. Like, those are the two main bands, because they have that, like, that really violent, brutal element to them that a really old Exhumed has. But it's still, like, not breakdown, chuggy. I compare it to Thy Art Is Murder as opposed to Whitechapel, because Thy Art Is Murder is ultimately better than Whitechapel, but it's a lot more vigorous. There's so much more vitality in their music, and that's how I feel Abdomen Canvas is. So that element, that influence, inspires a lot of the newer crowd, but they also, like, since they have that, like, that really violent image to them and just, like, really brutal, they attract the old school brutal death metal fans like me. So, and when I first heard that band and I went to their merch table, talked to their guitarist, and bought a CD, and I'm like, hey, you guys are fucking awesome. And I promoted them on All Things Metal, and and I still spread the word about them. I mean, I wish I can go to Orlando and see them more. I did tell them that if they're ever in Tampa, of course I'm going to go out and see them. And they're really nice guys, too, overall. So, and, like, I'm promoting them on this video right now. And there's a really good example of, you know, sometimes all it takes is to just attract that right person. So, yeah, I guess just overall food for thought in this blog. Yeah, this is going on for a half hour now. I think I'm going to stop this because I think I said all that I needed to say. Pretty much subscribe to my channel. I will post some more stupid blogs like this. Sometimes I will go into serious tangents like this. Other times I'll probably just start talking about stupid stuff. I will try and make it all about the metal industry. Sometimes it won't be all about metal, but, I mean, for the most part, since I am a metal journalist, you know. What else? I will also try and, update this as much as I can. I know in my last blog I said weekly, and I think it's been a couple weeks since I updated this, but, we'll see. But either way, if you subscribe to my channel, you will see all my awesome interviews. I have my Dying Fetus and Exhumed interview that's coming up very soon. Both interviews went really well. Matt from Exhumed and Trey from Dying Fetus are both fucking hilarious. Like, we were talking about a lot of really funny things in the interview, for both of them. And overall, they had a lot of really good information. Like, Trey had some great information on the new Dying Fetus album. Yes, the new Dying Fetus album. And then, Matt just had, like, a lot of awesome things to say about Exhumed's new album and all the touring that they're going to be doing. So, and that they are doing now. So, yeah, and I have a whole bunch of other really awesome interviews that are up right now. So, check that out. Wondering if there's anything else. All my social media, I'm going to, include in the, like, about section of the video. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, in the, whatever. in the description, there it is, in the description of the video. And I'll also have links to Orbweaver, this band. Also, Abdomen Canvas that I mentioned before. And think that were the local bands or smaller bands that I mentioned. Yeah, so also if you want to read any more of my journalism, go to theageofmetal.com. I suggest you check out everything the Age of Metal posts, but there's a way to filter out so that you read my posts, because I'm such a narcissist and I only want you to read my shit. No, not really. There's a lot of really awesome interviews and album reviews, so theageofmetal.com. I'll also have that in the description. So my voice is getting very hoarse and I kind of want to drink a beer, so yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if you watched 35 minutes of this stupid video, but if you did, then yeah.